Hello everyone, it's your favorite. This is episode 9 of Purple Georgia Knits podcast, craft blog, craft vlog, whatever you would like to call it. I have been away for a while, but I am back. I will talk about what has happened in my life in this span that I was missing or in my hiatus. So let's get started. If it bothers you that I'm going to be looking or I have glare, my computer screen is having my show notes, so I'm gonna look there often, so I'm sorry. I do have to get back in the swing of things since it's been a while, but let's get back into it. I'm going to talk about my works in progress, my finished objects, as well as my trip that I just went to, or well, for me it was a trip because we drove about almost 2 hours away. I went to the Georgia Fiber Fest, so I will talk about that and who I met at the Georgia Fiber Fest and other things that I'm into. And then at the end, I'm just going to talk in general. So if you don't want to hear that part, I'll let you know when I say in general. So, as you know, if you want to keep up with me, you can catch me on YouTube, Instagram, as well as WordPress as Purple Georgia Knits. That's with the S. If you want to catch up with me on Ravelry, you take away the S. So it's Purple Georgia Knits on YouTube, Instagram, as well as Facebook. Yes, I have a Facebook now. And it's purplegeorgiaknits.wordpress.com and Ravelry. So enough of that. Get that out the way. So I will talk about my first works in progress, which is the broken seed stitch socks that I have been knitting. There are my travel projects, so whenever I go somewhere to football games, band competitions, anywhere where I'm in the car, I take those with me. So those, I feel the sock is an easy pattern to knit and to do, because lots of times just knitting on socks can be a very brainless knit. So I am using US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles. The yarn I'm using is, excuse me, I have to reach away from the screen. Sorry. The yarn I'm using is actually, Patons Croy, Cascade Colors. That's the colorway, Patons Croy, Cascade Colors. And this is the skein. It's starting to unravel since it's been in the bag a little bit, but this is the skein. And basically it changes from like a dark bluish looking color. I don't know if you can really see it. A dark bluish looking color to a green to a little hints of tan in there. So that is the color. And then I'm using white, and this is Knit Pick Palette white. And the way I'm knitting these, I'm actually using a short, well, the cable to me is a little too short to be knitting this, so I'm doing the pattern on the top of the sock with the cable, and then on the back I'm using double points needles. So I have knit the cuff in white and come down and did the seed stitch pattern, broken seed stitch pattern. Sorry about my string. And I did the fish lips kiss heel in white, and now I'm knitting down to the toe. So that is my progress on my broken seed stitch sock. I cannot give you the name of the person, last name of the person who is knitting, or who made this pattern rather. I will put it down at the bottom of the screen like I normally do when I mention what I'm knitting. But that is my to-go project wherever. I take it with me everywhere. It's not a project that needs to be done right at the moment, but that is the first project. My second project is the Edge of Wedge Shawl. And the edge of wedge shawl, I came across it when I was looking for a shawl pattern, and I wanted to knit something different that I've never tried. So I was on Yarnspiration on Ravelry, and I come across the pattern, and I said, I gotta do that because it actually has cable work. I've done a little, dabbled a little bit in cable work, but this is cables, and it also has bobbles. And I don't know if you will be able to see, but I'm going to pick it up and see if you'll be able to see if I made mistakes, because I know I made mistakes. But I am knitting this in loops and thread wool-like. This is the golden yellow color. Loops and thread, wool-like. Golden yellow. And this is on US size 4, 3.5 millimeter needles with point protectors, so it will not slide off the needles. Okay, so if you can see, this is my progress. Let me show you. Get this out the way. This is my progress on the shawl. And so far I love it, but I don't know if you can tell. I'm gonna get a little closer. I missed a bobble, and this is like, you know how I am. I'm very perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist, so I'm very picky about my projects. Well, guess what? That missing bobble is gonna stay. At first it bothered me, but it's not gonna matter. But this is a slow going project. This is not something that I knit on all the time, because it seems like after I knit on it a while, I don't know if you get like this, but it's like, okay, I've done too much, my brain is overworked, let's put it down. And when I put it down and decide to pick it back up, I forget where I was. So if you all have any tips to tell me, an easy way to tell me how to keep up with like where you are with your work, I'll be glad to hear it. But whenever I pick it up, I forget where I am, and then I have to try to start over. So I think that's how I missed the bobble. But like I said, that's not a project that's to be done right here soon, but hopefully it will be done in the future. Me and knitting here lately it's just been whenever I can fit it in, because right this year compared to last year is very busy, so I have less time to knit like I did last year. But I always make some kind of time, even if it's like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to knit. My last work in progress is the Winter Warmer Hat by Blackledge, and I'm using US size 8 circular needle, 5.0 millimeter knitting needle, and I'm making 2 of these hats, and they're for a purpose, and I'll tell you the purpose later on in the video. But the first hat is in Caron Simply Soft in the Ocean colorway, and the second hat is in the Red Heart Soft color, Tangerine. So Red Heart Soft, Tangerine. This is my progress. I can't show you the progress on the second hat because it's not over here. But if you all can see this little stitch marker, also I got this over the weekend, so I'll tell y'all about that too. And I thought it was so neat to be able to do these hats. And that's all that I'm actually working on. So I'll move on to finished objects. Now I'm going to tell you, excuse me in the beginning because these socks have been worn and worn and worn because I love them, and now they're kind of out shapen. But I want to at least show you the sock. But I don't know if I showed you all or if I was in progress when I last made my video, but I was doing basic ankle socks with no pattern, and I finished it, and I basically used Patons Croy blue stripe rag color, and that was a self-striping like material, self-striping yarn by Patons Croy. And I also used some more leftover bits of cool gray wool-like loops and thread that I had from my Heto Fude cardigan that I was in a press to knit last year for a Christmas gift. But this is the sock, and it's an ankle sock. It fits me perfectly. I'm sorry, but like I said, I've worn this sock so much. I love it. It's like whenever my feet are cold, these are my go-to, as well as the red ones that I knitted. But I like these more than the red ones that I knitted. But I have, both the socks here. I love them. And probably soon I'll be knitting another pair. But there was no pattern for it. I basically knitted 1.5 inches of the cuff in the cool gray loops and thread. I did the 2x2 ribbing in this. Then I went down, knit about another 1.5 to get to the heel, which is a fish lips kiss heel. Then knitted down about 7 inches to the toes. Kitchener stitch the toes closed, and that was it for the sock. So basic stockinette, no pattern, nothing like that. So my second project that was finished, that I don't think I showed you, and it had a little cable work in it too, and I have yet to wear these, because guess what, I still gotta weave in ends, and I hate weaving in ends. So whenever I get to it, I guess that's when I'll start wearing them. But these are the sock. This is the sock, and this sock is Ankle Biters by Day-Crosier, I guess. If not, I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name. I will put your name down at the bottom of the screen. But I enjoyed knitting these. It was a quick knit because it's a DK weight yarn. DK weight pattern. Basically, you use DK weight yarn for the sock, and it was very quick. I knitted both of these, and it has the nice cable work. And basically for the other sock, it's reversed, so you'll have the cable. It's a, I guess you say, OCD thing. I like that because you'll have the cable going down perfectly on each foot to match the sock. So that's the first one. This is the second one, and I'll show you. It has cables there, and it has cables here. I love these socks. You Kitchener the heel, but guess what? I've never done an afterthought heel. These had an afterthought heel, so I will show you my heel, and I'm proud of it. I think I did a good job for the first time doing afterthought heel. But afterthought heel, these were knitted using US size 3.25 millimeter knitting needles, and the yarn was LRA Cozy Prints, and the color number 6. So number 6. That was very creative. Okay, so one more finished object. I am very proud of this shawl that I made, and it is very huge, and I was undecided whether to block it or not, but guess what, I kept it unblocked because I really like the thickness of it. And I knitted this up in Cotton Simply Soft, my favorite go-to yarn, in the Ocean colorway. So I'm going to put it on my shoulders so you can see. Right now, this thing is huge. I don't know if I can actually get you all to see how huge this thing is, but okay, this thing is huge. 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 But I loved the eyelets because it seemed like as you got down towards the end of the pattern, the eyelets got more and more with the pattern. And it's a wedge, and you have the ribbing at the ends. And like I said, I take this when I'm cold. I take it to the football games when I'm cold. I take it and I'm wrapped up in it when I'm at home, when I'm cold, and whenever I'm cold, which is pretty often because my husband is hot-natured and I'm always cold. So even in the wintertime, he has the air conditioning going. So look, in the summer, I'm in socks. That's why I need a lot of socks. Sweatshirt and a hat and sometimes fingerless mitts. And that's all year round. I sleep with a comforter in the summertime. That's how cold the house be. Feel my pain, people. That's my pain. Okay, enough of me being silly. But thus my finished object. Alicia, Plummer. I love your Campside shawl. That pattern was very easy. I knitted on that thing whenever I was watching TV or my Guilty Habit Korean with subtitles. But I love that pattern. I knitted on it and knitted on it until I was finished. It was very easy, but then it also got a little intricate with all the eyelets, so the yarn overs. But I love yarn overs. Just counting and keeping up with the yarn overs. Okay, so on to the next segment. I'm going to talk about what I did this past weekend. Today is actually Wednesday, September the 14th. Woohoo! And on September the 8th through the 10th, which was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of last week, there was a festival called the Georgia Fiber Fest. And that's in Columbus, Georgia. And last year I couldn't go. But I made it a goal of mine to go this year. And I actually got to go. I didn't get to go all 3 days. Me and my husband got up early on that Saturday, which was the 10th. Had breakfast, went down, and we got there. I think they opened up the market around 9 o'clock. And we got there around 9:40. Never been down there. Get in the doors, and it was like heaven. I didn't even know which way to go. Oh my God. I was so excited. My husband was like, let's just go to the right. Just go to the right. And oh my God, tables among tables of yarn, hand-dyed, fiber, project bags, just spinning wheels and everything. It is a craft or yarners, basically paradise. Guys, when I say I had a blast, I had a blast. I can't express how much I enjoyed doing that. I love to go to like craft shows or where they have tables set up and to see handmade stuff, things like that. It is just, to me, it's just wonderful. So I'm going to talk about my way around. If you don't want to hear, you can check out now, because usually my videos are around 20 minutes. Like I said, this one may be a little bit longer. So if you want to hear about me oohing and ahhing about my Georgia Fiber Fest experience, you can either check it out on WordPress.com, because I did a blog post on it, or you can sit here and get your drink and let me ooh and ah over it. Okay, so the first stop that I actually made, because I did go around and I stopped in a few shops, was the Hippie Homemaker. I saw her sign, and it was one of the shops that I wanted to see when I was looking up the Georgia Fiber Fest online. So here's her card. And the reason why I stopped is because, after being pitched at about a pillow and an iron, I want to stop and see this girl, because this is the first person I saw when I came in, because she was actually sitting there spinning wool. And you know me, I want to get into spinning, and my spinning habits have not been too good, but hopefully they're fixed because of the Georgia Fiber Fest. But I met Claire. Well, first, when I saw her, she was this young lady. She's kind of heavy, but I'm kind of heavy too, so there's nothing wrong with being pleasingly plump. But she had purple hair, something I wish I can do, but not yet. But I saw her spinning. She was in a wheelchair, but she was spinning on a spinning wheel, and to me that is just beautiful to see somebody. It's the arts of making something by hand. I love anything that you can do by hand. So when I saw her, I immediately had to stop, and I sat there and talked to her, and she showed me, how to draft. And my issue is drafting the wool fibers, the pull, because I'm too hard with pulling on the arm, and it just don't like me. So my spinning was not working. But she showed me, and while I was sitting there talking to her and I was looking around, I came across a skein of yarn that was calling my name. It was calling me, Tamika, you have to buy me. And when I saw it, I had to have it, because I totally stopped everything that I was saying and doing when she was sitting over there. It was like we were talking, and I immediately just stopped, and she looked like, what the heck is wrong with this lady? But that yarn called to me. And actually, it was her and a friend that were sharing the booth that they were in, and she dyed the yarn. And excuse the crinkles of the bag. I got everything still in the bag from where I went. But the Hippie Homemaker has an Etsy store. So if you go on Etsy, look for the Hippie Homemaker. She has an Etsy, as well as her friend. And I'm going to show you the skein of yarn that called my name when I was sitting there talking to her. But of course, you know me. I love purple, so it had to be purple. But this is a gradient yarn that was hand dyed. And I loved it because this is what I saw sitting on the shelf. Oops, I have fiber, sorry. Sitting on the shelf was this right here. This purple. And I'm purple Georgianettes, y'all, so anything purple's gonna catch my eye. When I saw this purple, I said I had to have it. And then when I saw the inside, at first I thought these will make some beautiful socks. But now I'm thinking I want to knit a shawl with this. But the thing is, I'm having a hard time finding a pattern on Ravelry that basically has 400 yards, because, me being a little OCD and all this issues, I like to use every bit, and I don't like having over pieces and extra. So if I'm going to use it, I'm going to use it all in one project and be done with it. But this is by Red Thread. And I love this color, this gradient, hand dyed. And this is a SW Merino, 400 yards and 100 grams of this sock yarn. And Sarah is on Etsy. So if you need to, check Sarah out, because I love this. I had to have it, and when I saw it, I had to have it. And my husband thought I was crazy because I'm at the Fiber Fest oohing and ahhing and squealing over yarn and fiber. So basically, when the lady saw him, because basically he's out of his element at the Georgia Fiber Fest. He is a sports fanatic, and basically he was the one that got pulled along, because all the girlfriends and friends and sisters and everybody female in my life had other obligations, and I had no one to go to. So I did inform him, yes, you will be missing college football and football on Saturday because you're taking me to the Georgia Fiber Fest. So all the ladies like gathered around and had to give him like an impromptu lesson in how to ooh over yarn. Show him how to actually touch it and ah! So that was my first acquisition, I guess you would call it. I didn't have much actually to buy when I went down there because it was so much, but I was so excited, and everything I meant to do, I didn't get to do. But that was my first acquisition at the Georgia Fiber Fest. And then as we was going around, like I said, I met the guy with the iron, and the iron was $250. And my husband was like, heck no, you don't need an iron that bad. And then there was a pillow, and the pillow was wonderful, and it was $50. And he was like, don't even look that way, woman, keep going. So I kept going around, and I came across something that I've always wanted to get. And I found this at the Strings and Stitches booth. This is actually a yarn shop that's in Georgia. I've never been there, but I will be trying to make a trip. It's actually up in North Georgia, and I'm kind of a little south of this. But Strings and Stitches, the ladies at the booth were wonderful. But when I got to the booth and I actually was looking around, this was like actually one of the first things that I saw. And I've always said that I wanted to get this. This is basically a needle keeper. And what this does is you insert your needles on this end, and whatever is on the needles will never slide off. This basically is a big needle protector to keep all your whatever you're knitting on the circular needles. This is not really for like straight needles, but it's like for circular needles. So if you're knitting anything in circular, this will do the job. But guess what? It's also purple, so that's why I had to snatch it up when I saw it. I thought it was wonderful, so I had to have this as well in purple. So that was pretty much the only thing I bought in her shop. She had a lot of yarns, yarn brands that I like. But like I said, I was really just going just to go to see the Georgia Fiber Fest. I really had no intention of buying things, but you know, when you see things you have to get, you just get. So the next thing after doing all that, I was walking around and there was a girl, and she come and threw some fiber in my hand. So I'm walking around minding my own business, looking around. The next thing I know, this girl is like, here. And she plopped some fiber in my hand. Then she turns around and plops some more fiber in my husband's hand. And I'm like, of course, I'm coming to your booth, girl. And I followed her right on over there. And it was Jane of Euphoric Fibers. When I got over there to that booth, it was like being amongst a bunch of friends. Jane and Ginger are wonderful. And these two ladies actually took the time. And guess what? Jane also has purple hair. But me in the color purple, I'm sorry. But Jane was spinning on a drop spindle. And when I saw it, I just told her, oh, because they asked me, are you a spinner? I said, well, of course you gave me the fiber. And they was like, well, I'm stuck now. So basically I'm ruined because I want to spin. They say it's a world where you can't get out. But she actually showed me how to do it and what I was doing wrong. The little trick of when you're spinning fiber to untwist it a little bit when you draft, and that makes it easier to pull. So I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to try it to see if it works. But I will input that little clip of video, and excuse me ahead of time when I put it, because I know I was like, oh, yeah, in the background, so don't laugh at me, but I'm a dork. But I plan on practicing on this. This is a beautiful greenish color, and my mom loves the color green, but I don't think this is enough to knit anything with. If at all, this will probably be spent whenever I can get a chance, and I will probably try to start a Cozy Memories blanket, and this will be my first maybe yarn of the blanket. Who knows? But that's something future. You know, I'm still, the spinning bug has not really caught me, but we'll see later on down the line, and when I do, you guys will know. So I have a couple of more items to show you and a couple of more business cards to show you. There was another shop where this lady has some very unique bags, and they're unique because they have a closure but it's not a zipper. So if you get the chance, check out Ken Marie's Knickknacks. She's on Etsy and she also has a web page. I don't know if this is clear enough, but if not, I'll put the picture at the end. You can see it. But she has project bags, and I ran over there because, me being me, I saw Hello Kitty and I saw Doctor Who, and I went running like a little kid in the candy store. When I got over there, I saw the bag, and when I opened up the bag, I was like, hold up, there's no closure on this bag. But then I realized it snapped back closed, and I'm like, hey, what is this? So she looks at me and said, do you know what that is? And I had to think about it for a second, and when I thought about it, I was like, it's not. And she goes, it is. And I said, it's not. She said, what is it? I said, tape measure. She basically took her husband's tape measure in an idea of, because you know the metal tape measures, when you bend it, they bend back. Bend it and bend back. She says she's never had an issue with the actual metal part of the tape measure breaking, coming apart, but that's a basic closure. You pull them apart and it stays open, and when you let it go, bloop, it closes right back. So I will be getting one of her Hello Kitty bags. If you all are interested, she gave me this card, and guess what she gave me also? Coupon code to give you all as well if you want to buy a bag from her shop. So basically, you go to KenMariesKnickknacks.com, and on KenMariesKnickknacks.com you can get 10% off your purchase using this code, and this code is good until January 1st of 2017. So y'all can do some Christmas shopping in her shop and get 10% off your order, and you will have some bags to put your knitting in, and then you'll be happy. So the code is GAFF, all capitals, 2016, and if you use that code in her shop, you'll get 10% off your purchase. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you, Ken Marie. I will be getting in touch with you about my Hello Kitty bag. Do not give it away to anybody else. So the next shop I went to was a guy that I had never met before, but he's in New Orleans, and his name was Rick. And this is, you know, you may know him, you may not know him, but this is Rick of Whimsy Stitches. He gave me this, and it has an extra little, it was like a little gift, I guess, for podcasters. But he's on Instagram, he's on Ravelry, he's my new friend, so check him out if y'all go. He's on Instagram, Rick of Whimsy Stitches, and he has some wonderful bags. I had never seen the wrist bags. It's basically where they just drape over your wrist. I'll show you in just a second. I thought it was neat, but he also gave me a coupon code. So if you go onto his website, which is whimsystitches.com, and use the code RAINBOW, all capitals, you will get 10% off your purchase. And I'm going to show you my bag that I got from him. Excuse the crinkles. But when I saw this bag, I had to have it. So, this is my bag, and it's a basic bag. This bag cost me $15, and I just thought it was so professionally made. I have yet to use it, but I will put my next project that I start in it, hopefully here soon. But basically, it pops open like this, and bow, whatever you put in, there it is, and you just hang it on your wrist, and while you're walking, you're knitting and walking and knitting and sitting and knitting, and wherever you go, you can take this wherever with you and do whatever. out this bag. Just like this. Just like this. And I thought it was wonderful. And I had to have it. And I'll be having more. But that's the bag. I love it. This is the inside material. I thought it was wonderful. So, and it also came with some neat little stitch markers. He gave me that. So, that's Rick of Whimsy Stitches. Don't forget, oops, sorry, upside down. Don't forget to go to his website. Use the code RAINBOW, 10% off. He gave that to me to give to you. Win-win. Okay, so my last thing I can say, well, not last, but the last couple of people I've met, I actually saw Chris again, the person who taught me how to drop spin at Roll Alpaca Challenge. She was there with her friends, and they had a Roll Alpaca booth. And she went to, it was basically like keeping up with friends. And when I told her that I was having trouble spinning, she was like, oh girl, just come on back to the Roll Alpaca Challenge and I can sit with me and we can show you what you're doing wrong. But I was glad to see her. I ran up to her screaming, Chris, Chris, Chris. I hope she didn't think I was crazy, because she was like, who is this big old lady running toward me yelling? But she remembered me after I reminded her who I was. And she was so excited to see me, and we got together and we talked and talked and talked. And hopefully here soon I will be visiting her friend's alpaca farm to go see the alpacas, and that's up at Mystic Mountains Alpaca in Covington, Georgia. That's a little bit far from me, but I was gonna go. But I did end up getting some roving from the shop, because when I saw it, I had to get it because I thought it was so neat. But here's their card, and it was only, looked like $3. I think it was $3. I paid for it and don't even realize what it was. But I thought it was neat that when you buy your roving, they actually put a picture of the animal and the name of the animal that it came from. So this came from Sparkle, and this is a basic red roving. And I'm not going to take it out the bag because I'm afraid to mess it up. The same with the roving that I got from them last year, Midnight. It's that like TARDIS blue color with the variations in it. That's the reason why I got it, because it reminded me of Doctor Who. But it's still in the bag, and I'm afraid to touch it. I told Chris that I'm afraid. She's like, girl, just get in there. Do you do. It'll be fine. If you mess up, it's okay. If not, it's okay. But me being a perfectionist, I don't want to mess anything up. But hopefully down the line, I'll be visiting Mystic Mountain Alpacas, and I will be podcasting there, and I will show you the alpacas. And hope that I don't get spit on or pooped on. Yeah, that's gonna be a minute. But last but not least, while there, and I thought it was kind of neat because while I was there was a table, but there was really nothing set up on the table but cards. And but I saw SSK. So my first thought was slip, slip, knit. What's that? What is this? What is this? So I had to go over there and see. It said SSK. It's not what you're thinking. No, it's not SSK Super Summer Knit Together. It's SSK Yarners Podcast. And so I met Karen of the SSK Yarners Podcast. And so they're on YouTube. And I thought it was neat to meet another podcaster. When I went there, over to her table, she introduced herself and said, hi, how are you? I'm Karen of SSK Yarners Podcast. And I thought that was so neat because, I had been podcasting for a year. And it's been very slow going for me. But hopefully it'll pick up here soon. But I didn't show you, but on the card, there was a space. And it had stitch markers, and that's where that first stitch marker came from in the beginning of the video. I actually put it, let's see, Let's see. I actually put it on my hat that I was knitting, but I thought it was so neat to get a card with stitch markers. But talking to Karen, I learned about the podcast because I actually came across it on YouTube, but I didn't watch the video. And I thought it was very neat that, she gave me tips about what to do as a podcaster, and she even gave me an invite. She said next year at the Georgia Fiber Fest, she's going to have a podcaster's tent. And guess who's going to be sitting in the tent? So if you want to meet Purple Georgia Knits and SSK Yarners, you better be at the 2017 Georgia Fiber Fest. Be there. Mark your calendars. Now you got a year to plan to be there. I want to meet you. I want to see you. So that was pretty much it. I also had found out about a new thing. She's doing hats for veterans. So if you go to the SSK Yarners podcast Instagram page or Ravelry page, you will find out that she is doing a hat drive. And basically, she wants to provide hats for the veterans and their families for winter, because lots of veterans go through winter and they don't have, items. This is her way and our way of giving back. So basically, connect to all of your knitting friends and crochet friends. We need hats. The hats need to be knitted by October the 7th. If you contact her on Ravelry, you contact her on Instagram. That's Karen of the SSK Yarners, or anyway, find SSK Yarners. They're doing a hat drive for veterans. Please do not hesitate to help in this cause. It'll be a great thing. Please gather up as many ladies you can, church knitting group, knitting guild, crochet guilds. We are in need of hats. So anybody you know that can knit, ask them to knit a hat and get it back to Karen of SSK Yarners. Thank you. I'll be glad if you did that. And now I will be moving on to another section. So that was my thing. I thought it was kind of neat to meet another podcaster and to get tips and tricks. And as well, I didn't even know that one of the ladies of the podcast followed my podcast. And I thought that was neat because I feel like, hey, I've actually touched someone. But as of right now, that's all for what I did over the weekend, and I will be moving on to general things, basically talking about me and what's been going on and why I've been away. So if you don't want to hear it, thank you for watching. Tune in to the next video, which should be 2 weeks away. You can still check me out on Instagram, Ravelry, Facebook, as well as WordPress. So, thank you for watching. I'm going to go on to my just in general, what's been going on with me. So, I have hit a point of where I was really discouraged with this whole podcasting, crafting, thing that I've been into. Been down, a little depressed because it's not going like I thought it should or thought it should go. So a little discouragement set in. I lost my knitting mojo, or my love for knitting. It kind of went away. Things were not going good. So it was like everything that I picked up was actually not going good. I ripped it out. I actually started 2 shawls, and they wasn't going along like I thought, so I ripped it out. I have one still on the needles. I will see maybe if I can knit on it, but as of right now, it's just been sitting there, probably ripped out. But, I had been feeling down and been in a little discouragement. And I came across another podcast, and I watched her video, and This girl, Katie, is wonderful. Her podcast is Inside the Number 23, and she is very awesome. I think she's based overseas because of her accent. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly where she is, but she basically talked about the same thing that I was going through. It was like she actually connected to me. And it touched me because I was not the only one going through the down period or feeling uh, less confident in myself and what I am doing. So, if you have time, check her out. She is a very awesome girl. I love this podcast. I watch this podcast as well as SSK and a few other podcasters. But I thought that it was very neat that she touched on the fact that everything is not wonderful. You know, I do struggle with a little bit of depression, sometimes a little issues with my self-esteem. You know, I am a heavy girl, and you know, everybody else is, you know, skinny, and that should not be an issue, but it does play a factor with me because growing up I was always picked on and teased about my weight. And sometimes those things do still play in my head, even though I've been married, what you say, 18 years, and I have a loving husband, but I still have those same factors playing around in my head. But I have to refocus. I did put out a short video on how I refocus. You know, listening to music, inspirational music, and lots of times reading my Bible. I don't know if you all are into that, but that is what I'm into, and that what helps me get back. But music, and it's not just like rap. I listen to a wide spectrum. I'm over in Korea, basically, listening to pop music, but it speaks to my soul. It actually makes me feel better when I listen to it. It helps my spirit comes up. So that is one of the things that I do when I'm feeling down, is to pop in the earbuds. I don't know what you all do. I would love to hear, you know, how did you gain back your inspiration, or how do you keep your spirit uplifted? So if you want to, you can send me a little, you know, comment down at the bottom of the video. Tell me what you're into, or, you know, whether it be reading or walking or whatever. What do you do to take time for yourself to refocus? I would love to hear that. So, yeah, I had been a little discouraged, a little depression set in, so therefore I did not have the want to do any crafts. Well, also what helped the discouragement is because between me and my husband, we had 5 deaths in the family, and going through loss of family members was very hard to go through, and I didn't want to feel like I was seeking pity. But I'm sorry I kept myself away from you all with the podcast. But it was very hard time for us. You know, it was like, it seemed like one after another, after another, after another. And it was like, how much can you handle? How much can I handle? And it got to be too much for me to handle. So that was pretty much why I had stopped. It was like a abrupt stop with the podcast. It just, at the time, became too much because I felt like I couldn't handle, you know, going on. And I'm sorry, you know, for getting all shaken up right now, but it was hard. And I guess you say, you know, you guys need to see this side, maybe, or maybe not, but this is me. So I'm sorry in advance if you don't like it, but if you do, thank you. I am glad for the hugs, the internet hugs. I can feel them. Thank you all for tuning in. But I hope that I won't stop podcasting. But basically, I hit a hard, rough time in my life, and it was very hard to like keep my focus and go on, you know. But what don't kill you make you stronger, guys. So If you're still living after your situation, you're strong enough to handle it. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for sitting through my excitement. This is the longest I've ever did a podcast. I hope you all bear with me, continue to be there, and it's your favorite Tamika. And stay in tune with me to see what's coming up next. I will see you again. Love you guys. Bye.
The fiber just slides apart.
Oh, see, that's what I was doing wrong, because I was trying to pull from the twist.
And even now, if I still try and pull, nothing is going to happen. But if I untwist it slightly, I'll get it. That's what I was saying. So the trick is to do it.
That and make sure your hands are far enough apart so you're not pulling both sides of your fiber. But if you untwist a little right here, then you can draft it out of your drafting triangle. Because now you've freed up all of those fibers instead of being twisted together.